Manila Broadcasting Company. Sa Pilipinas, iisa lang ang radyo.
Manila Broadcasting Company.
Ang Dibisyon ng Biliran Alternative Learning System kasama ang buong kagawaran ng edukasyon at kaagapay ang pamahalaan ng probinsya ng Biliran ay buong pusong inihahandog ang programang pangradyo na pinamagatang Als Radyo Eskwela. Ito ay inyong mapapakinggan tuwing Lunes at Biyernes sa ganap na alas 11 hanggang alas 11:30 ng umaga dito lamang sa 103.9 Radyo Natin FM. Walang makahahadlang, walang maiiwan sa Alternative Learning System. Tiyak na may pag-asa, sama-samang lilipad para maabot ang pangarap sa hamong kinakaharap. Patuloy na aangat, edukasyon para sa lahat, sulong edukalidad. Ito ang DepEd Als Radyo Eskwela ng Dibisyon ng Biliran.
To our avid listeners out there, a pleasant morning with learnings and fresh insight brought to you by Alternative Learning System of Biliran Division. Welcome to another episode of Als Radyo Eskwela, only here at 103.9 Radyo Natin FM Naval Biliran, every Monday and Friday of the week at exactly 11 to 11:30 in the morning. I am Teacher Lester from Kawayan District 2, your radio teacher for today, and with me to help you learn another relevant topic this morning, we have Teacher Diane, my partner for today's episode. Good morning, Ma'am Diane.
Good morning, Sir Lester. Thank you very much, and I'm very much elated to extend my morning greetings to everyone who are listening to us today, especially to our beloved ALS learners and implementers of Biliran Division. It's such an overwhelming feeling being part again of this new episode of imparting learnings and fresh insights through Radio Eskwela. I would like to encourage everyone to participate the session by listening attentively or following us at our live stream on Facebook page at 103.9 Radyo Natin Naval Biliran.
If you have to take bladder break, you may do it now before we start the discussion in a while, because we want to make sure that wherever you are, as we start our lesson, you feel comfortable and can clearly hear the broadcast. May I ask if you have eaten already? It is best to eat your meal before our class on air will start, so that you can focus and have an alert mind for better understanding and comprehension of today's topic. Our lesson for today is to discuss the rights and responsibilities of consumers. Are you ready to learn today? Very good. Now, ready your pen, notebook to jot down important details that can help you to master the lesson and to answer our evaluation later on.
As Teacher Lester told you earlier, today we are going to discuss the rights and responsibilities of consumers. Now, sit back and relax because this is going to be fun and relevant Monday learning experience.
Before we go further, let me share with you a famous quotation that we all know. Every right implies a responsibility. Every opportunity, an obligation, and every position, a duty. It's another words to ponder this morning. So to our dear listeners, please always be mindful of what you have and use it to bless others and not to gain impunity.
At this point of time, before we formally start our lesson, let us first proceed to our segment, Tanong Ko, Sagot Mo, All you have to do is to listen to today's given scenario and a question will be read for you to answer in order to win a 50 pesos load coming from our generous sponsor, Sir Jake Escoton of Biliran District. Are you ready? Please listen attentively for you to answer the question correctly.
Mr. Vidal bought a gold necklace for his wife from a local jeweler who swore that it was 22 carat. A year later, when Mrs. Vidal tried to exchange the necklace for some other jewelry in another shop, she was shocked to hear that the gold purity was only 20 carat.
Let me repeat the situation. Mr. Vidal bought a gold necklace for his wife from a local jeweler who swore that it was 22 carat. A year later, when Mrs. Vidal tried to exchange the necklace for some other jewelry in another shop, she was shocked to hear that the gold purity was only 20 carat.
Based on the given scenario, as a consumer, what right do you think that has been breached or infringed in the situation? And what is the best thing to do as a consumer against unfair trade practice like this? Let me repeat the questions. As a consumer, what right do you think that has been breached or infringed in a scenario? And what is the best thing to do as a consumer against unfair trade practice like this? Kindly text your answer to this number 0998 216 6976 so that we will know your thoughts on this matter and win 50 pesos load from us. Again, just text your answer on this number 0998 216 6976.
Do you want to know your consumer rights? Do you know your responsibilities as consumer? Be aware, be a responsible consumer.
Consumers face various problems on account of competition in the market, misleading advertisement, availability of inferior quality of goods and services. Hence, under the Consumer Protection Act 7394 of the Philippines, has provided certain rights and responsibilities to safeguard consumers' interests. That is why the Department of Trade and Industry, DTI, urge Filipino consumers to always assert their rights and practice their responsibilities at all times, especially amidst the pandemic where transactions are mostly done online. The department reminds consumers to stay vigilant before making a purchase.
As a consumer, you have the right to expect the marketplace to be fair. You also have the responsibilities to be fair and deal with problems quickly. Now let us understand our rights and responsibilities in detail.
The first right is the right to basic needs, which guarantees survival, adequate food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, education, and sanitation. With this right, consumers can look forward to the availability of basic and prime commodities at affordable prices and good quality.
Again, our first right is the right to basic needs. This right ensures availability of basic goods and services to consumers at affordable prices and of good quality.
Next, we have the right to safety, meaning to say, the consumer should be protected against the marketing of goods or the provision of services that are hazardous to health and life.
Let me repeat. The second right is the right to safety. The customer has a right to be protected against goods and services which are injurious to health and life.
And consumer also have the right to information. The consumer should be protected against dishonest or misleading advertising or labeling and has the right to be given the facts and information needed to make an informed choice.
Again, consumer has also the right to information. A consumer has a right to be informed about the ingredients, quantity, quality, purity, standard or grade, date of manufacture, and price of the goods he or she intends to buy.
And consumer has the right to choose. The consumer has the right to choose from among various products and competitive prices with an assurance of satisfactory quality.
Again, consumer has the right to choose. Means right to be assured wherever possible of access to variety of goods and services at competitive price.
Another right of consumer is the right to representation, the right to express consumer interest in the making and execution of government policies.
The right to representation means the right to express consumer interests in the making and execution of government policies.
Consumer has also the right to redress. In other words, the right to be compensated for misinterpretation, shoddy goods, or unsatisfactory services.
Again, when we say the right to redress, meaning the consumers will receive fair settlement for substantiated complaints involving a compensation for misrepresentation, defective goods, or unsatisfactory services.
Another right of the consumer is the right to consumer education, which consumers have access to the knowledge and skills necessary to be informed while being aware of fundamental consumer rights and responsibilities.
Again, the right to consumer education is the right to acquire knowledge and skills necessary to be an informed customer.
And lastly, consumer has the right to a healthy environment, the right to live and work in an environment which is neither threatening nor dangerous, to which permits a life of dignity and well-being.
Let me repeat. The last right of consumer is the right to a healthy environment, which means the right to live and work in an environment which is neither threatening nor dangerous and which permits a life of dignity and well-being.
All right, those are the 8 rights of consumer. The right to basic needs, the right to safety, the right to information, the right to choose, the right to representation, the right to redress, the right to consumer education, and lastly, the right to a healthy environment.
Now let's continue our discussion with the corresponding responsibilities of a consumer.
Consumer rights by themselves cannot be effective in achieving the objective of consumer protection. To achieve consumer protection, consumers also need to understand their responsibilities. Let us understand the various responsibilities which a consumer should keep in his mind while purchasing, using, or consuming goods and services.
First, as consumer, we must be aware. We gather information and facts available about a product or service as well as keep abreast of changes and innovations in the market.
Next, beware. Be alert to the quality and safety of products and services before you purchase.
As consumer, you must also think independently. Make decisions about well-considered needs and wants.
Consumer also has the responsibility to speak out, inform manufacturers and government of your needs and expectations.
It's also your responsibility to be an ethical consumer. Be fair and never engaged in dishonest practices which affect other consumers negatively.
And it's your responsibility to complain, inform businesses and appropriate regulatory authorities about your dissatisfaction with the product or service in a fair and honest manner.
You also have the responsibility as a consumer to share experience. Inform other consumers about your experience with a product or service.
Lastly, as a consumer, you also have the responsibility to respect the environment, avoid waste, littering, and contributing to pollution. Promote sustainable consumption by ensuring that what you consume does not impact the environment negatively.
Again, consumer has 8 responsibilities. These are to be aware, beware, think independently, speak out, be an ethical consumer, complain, share experience, and respect their environment.
At this point of time, let us try to apply what you have learned from our discussion today. Listen to the situation carefully, then identify what's right of the consumer that being breached in the given scenario. Again, you have to identify what right of the consumer that being breached in the given scenario. Do you understand? Okay, here is our situation.
Bianca bought a juicer from a showroom. When she switched it on, she got a mild shock. She realized that the wiring was defective and the product was unsafe. She forgot to check the quality and guarantee of the juicer and also compared it with other juicers available in the shop, since the shopkeeper ensured the quality of the juicer and insisted to buy that juicer as it had an offer or special discount. In this case, what right of the consumer has been breached? What will you do to resolve this issue?
Let me repeat the scenario. Bianca bought a juicer from a showroom. When she switched it on, she got a mild shock. She realized that the wiring was defective and the product was unsafe. She forgot to check the quality and guarantee of the juicer and also compared it with other juicers available in the shop, since the shopkeeper ensured the quality of the juicer and insisted to buy that juicer as it had an offer or a special discount. In this case, what right of the consumer has been breached? What will you do to resolve this issue?
Correct! The right to safety and the right to be protected from all kinds of hazardous goods and services has been breached and a complaint can be made. Also, the right to choose has been breached since the shopkeeper did not show her the other brands of juicers. You can return the juicer and ask for a refund or change it with another juicer from the shop. If the shopkeeper will refuse, then it's the time to file a complaint.
And for your next activity, you are going to answer 5 test items on the rights and responsibilities of consumer that you learned a while ago and present in the following situation. Are you ready? Great! Let's start!
For number 1, a consumer check a gas cylinder for leakage at the time of purchase. If the cylinder starts leaking afterwards, leading to fire and injury or death, then the supplier is liable to pay compensation. What do you think is the right that being exercised from the consumer? A. Right to redress. B. Right to consumer education. C. Right to safety. Or D. Right to choose.
For number 2, when suppliers and dealers inform consumers about the safety precautions to be taken while using products to avoid loss or injury, what right of consumer is being presented? A. Right to be informed. B. Right to have a healthy environment. C. Right to be heard. Or D. Right to choose.
Next number. If a consumer is fair and never engage in dishonest practices which affect other consumers negatively, what responsibility is being shown by the consumer? A. Responsibility to complain. B. Responsibility to be an ethical consumer. C. Responsibility to share experience. Or D. Responsibility to speak out.
And for number 4, identify the responsibility of consumer if he or she inform businesses and appropriate regulatory authorities about his or her dissatisfaction with a product or service in a fair and honest manner. A. Responsibility to share experience. B. Responsibility to be aware. C. Responsibility to think independently. Or D. Responsibility to complain.
For the last number, you brought a second-hand product and when you open the box, it's broken not by your fault, but just because the item was faulty. You take the item to the store but they say it cannot be returned or refunded because it's a second-hand good. What right will you use? A. Right to consumer education. B. Right to redress. C. Right to safety. Or D. Right to choose.
Now, it's time to check your answers. If you get a passing scores, then that will be great. But if you fail, well, no worries. You can still relearn our discussion today by visiting our Facebook page where our session was recorded and posted for reviews. Just visit 103.9 Radyo Natin, Naval, Biliran.
For item number 1, the correct answer is letter C, right to safety. In order to be protected against the marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to health or life, use this right. Again, the correct answer for number 1 is letter C, right to safety.
The correct answer for test item number 2 is letter B. Again, the consumer has the right to be informed about the ingredients, quantity, quality, purity, standard or grade, date of manufactured, and price of the goods he intends to buy. The correct answer for number 2 is letter B, right to be informed.
For number 3, the correct answer is letter B, responsibility to be an ethical consumer. Again, the correct answer for number 3 is letter B.
And the correct answer for item number 4 is letter D, responsibility to complain. I repeat, letter D is the correct answer for number 4.
For the last item, the correct answer is right to redress. The consumer has a right to get the defective goods replaced or money refunded by seller or dealer. If this right has been infringed, then the consumer will make a formal complaint. Again, for item number 5, the correct answer is letter B, right to redress.
Now, count your scores. For those who get passing scores, congratulations! Keep up the good work. You deserved that. And for those who did not pass the test today, don't forget to relearn our session by watching the recorded FB Live to our page and continue assessing yourself until you master the lesson.
And for your final activity, you are going to discuss at least 3 rights and 3 responsibilities of consumers and provide situations to the following rights and responsibilities you choose to discuss. Write this on a clean A4 bond paper and wait for your implementer in your own respective district to collect it on the following day for the checking and feedbacking of your output.
Again, you are going to discuss at least 3 rights and 3 responsibilities of consumers and provide situation to the following rights and responsibilities you choose to discuss. Write this on a clean A4 bond paper and wait for your implementer in your own respective district to collect it on the following day for the checking and feedbacking of your output.
And now, just to make sure we are on the same page, let's do a recap of the rights and responsibilities of consumer. What are those? Can you still remember? The 8 rights of consumer are the right to basic needs, the right to safety, right to information, right to choose, the right to representation, the right to redress, right to consumer education, and the right to a healthy environment.
And the 8 responsibilities of consumer are to be aware, beware, think independently, speak out, be an ethical consumer, complain, share experience, and respect the environment. Easy to remember, right? Now, are we good with that?
Okay, but before we end our session today, let us read first the responses of our listeners from the question presented earlier on Mrs. Vidal's situation. The questions are: what right do you think that has been breached or infringed in a scenario? And what is the best thing to do as a consumer against unfair trade practice like this? According to Chloe Villo of Naval Biliran, her answer is the right to redress, and she's going to file a complaint. Congratulations, Chloe Villo, since you actively participated and you are the first to send response or answer to our question during our segment Tanong Ko Sagot Mo, you will receive 50 pesos load from Sir Jake Iscoton of Biliran District. Thank you very much for your generosity, sir.
Once again, congratulations! That's all for today. I hope you've learned a lot from us. And before we bid goodbye, allow me to share this well-known saying: there cannot be rights without responsibilities. Hence, a consumer should also keep in mind his responsibilities while purchasing, using, or consuming goods and services. With that being said, thank you so much, our dear listeners, for taking time out of your busy schedule just to join us today's episode. Please don't forget to always tune in to our educational morning radio show, Als Radyo Eskwela, every Monday and Friday of the week at 11 to 11:30 in the morning, only here at 103.9 Radyo Natin FM Naval Biliran.
And that ends our session for today, my beloved ALS learners. Once again, this is Teacher Diane from Kawayan District 2, which leaves you a message that despite this pandemic, let's all stay positive and make sure that the fun and learning must continue.
And this is Teacher Lester saying God bless and stay safe, everyone.